Estamos aqui no OD, Chris Handy com a gente, game designer, escritor de músicas para crianças. Então, além de um game designer, ele também faz música para criança. O Chris vai falar um pouco da vida dele e nós vamos ter um bate-papo sobre jogos, game designer, campanha no Kickstarter, tudo isso. So, Chris, start please. Talk about who is Chris Handy.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on the show, first of all. So I'm really kind of an artist. I do kids music.
Hey-oh, let's start the day out bright, sing hey-oh, oh Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun.
Introducing CJ's Fundamentals.
And I also do game design. And I've been doing kids music for about 20 years and game design for about 15 years. And some games you might know, I've done a horse racing game called Long Shot. It came out, I think, in 2009. And then Cinque Terre came out last year. And I've got some other kind of party type games as well. And this latest endeavor is Pack a Game. So that's kind of what I do.
Bom, o Chris se apresentou e agora nós vamos falar também, ele vai falar um pouco sobre a vida de um game designer, da onde vem a inspiração e o que levou ele a ser um game designer. Let's go.
So, yeah, I like different kinds of games, but my favorite kinds of games are simple rules, but interesting gameplay, so that you can start playing within 1 or 2 minutes, but once you start playing, you realize, wow, there's a lot of game here. There's a lot of interesting choices happening. And so I'm drawn to that kind of elegant game design. And, you know, that's part of why I decided to kickstart these games, is because obviously they're small, and that has a lot of advantages. But I wanted to make games that are easy to learn and fairly quick to play, so that we can play them at times where normally we wouldn't be able to, or we're waiting for coffee or something like that. And so I wanted to create a whole line of games that were this size, that would meet those needs. Short playing time, easy to learn, but fun, you know, interesting games. I'm a gamer, and so there's lots of simple games that I wouldn't ever play, but I didn't want to make that kind of game. I wanted to make interesting games. And so I set out to make a whole line of games. I put 4 on Kickstarter, and we're hoping to, through stretch goals, unlock several more games. And what's neat about the stretch goals is that if you buy the 4 and we unlock several games, we're going to just ship those to you too. So we're excited about that, because we really want to print those, because that's kind of where more of the gamer type of games are, as Game 5 and Game 6 and Game 7 and 8 and 9. And so our goal is to print, you know, 8, maybe 12. And so I think these are going to fit in a lot of people's lives, not just gamers, but also a casual type of gamer, or maybe somebody who doesn't like games, because there's something about the size of these games that is less intimidating. When we show people this kind of box, you know, they see all this stuff, and they see all this rules and components, and some people are turned off by that. They think it's too complex, and so they won't even listen to us teach the rules. But these are something that you can teach quickly, and hopefully get more people into the hobby of gaming, because that's really what I'd like to do. Is instead of you know, a bunch of us doing this all day, we could actually be interacting and playing a game and laughing and having a good time in a different way.
Yeah, e aí ele vai falar sobre a inspiração dele.
A lot of times a game idea will just pop into my head. I know that seems weird, but you know, I first had the idea for this game. I wanted to make a card game that had 3 colors on it in 2 different ways. And so this card has 1, 2, 3 colors on it, and this card has 3 colors on it. And so I wanted to make a small card game which had a 1 by 3 dimension size. And so this was the first game that I made, and then once I had it, I made this box to fit them in. And after I did that, I started carrying them around with me and realized that not only am I playing more games because I have them all the time, but I realized that this size card allows for lots of different game types and different mechanics or mechanisms that you wouldn't think you could do with cards. And so it's not just that they're small, but it's that they can be treated in so many different ways. You can tile them, or I even in Bus and in the fly swatting game, I use them as a token. You know, they have a different kind of purpose in the game, or they're a marker, or they serve some other purpose. So once I realized the value of all that, I started working in those parameters. 30 cards, all fit in here. And so I just started thinking of all kinds of ideas for this size game. And that's kind of what I've been doing for about the last year or so.
Então, no teu caso, o primeiro jogo trouxe os outros.
When I first started making them, for about 2 months, I made about 15 games in a 2-month period. I printed them out, was testing them all at once. And I couldn't print them fast enough to keep up with the ideas that I had. It was that crazy. And so I have a long list of other games that I want to make that I haven't had time to make yet. But we definitely have at least 10 for kind of this set, this initial set that we're offering. So, and they're really good games that have a lot of different themes, a lot of different mechanisms, and have different difficulty levels. There's some that you could play with kids. There's some that you would only play with a gamer type of person. So I think we have a very well-rounded set of games here.
Então, se você tivesse jogo, uma ideia de jogo para lançar, qual jogo que seria?
That's a good question. I think the most interesting game for me in the last 30 years is Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
I think that when I was introduced to that game, the whole gaming thing opened up for me in a way that I didn't think was possible. And so that's, I think, the idea that is very unique. And there are other really strong ideas, something like Dominion, that's a great game, but Dominion can't happen unless Magic the Gathering happens. And so I feel like that's the best, really original, strong concept that we've had in the last 30 years.
Então, e aí vamos falar um pouco da questão do Kickstarter e das campanhas grandes como da Zombicide, essas campanhas que fazem mais de 1 milhão. Eu vou perguntar para ele se elas atrapalham ou não a campanha dele, que é uma campanha bem menor, com um jogo menor, e se isso atrapalha, qual é o sentimento dele em relação a isso.
You know, I have to say that people that have done this well, there are several people that are sharing a lot of information about the process of kickstarting and having success at it. And I think of Michael Mendes and Jamie from Stonemaier Games, and those guys are really sharing a lot of the process, and that has helped me to be ready for when I took the process on. And so, you know, I don't see them as much competition. I just see I see what they're doing as the little guy being able to do more of what the big guy does, because I still see those companies as peers against Hasbro or Mattel. Or so, you know, I think we can work together and learn how to use Kickstarter, the internet, Twitter, and use these resources that a designer publisher like me can actually get their games all over the world at a price that's attractive and in a very efficient way. And so I've learned a lot from them already, and I'm excited for their next campaigns because they're getting better and better at it, and there's a lot for me to learn from them. This is what I've been sending the games in. So if you look in here, I can put 6 or 7 in here. You see what I'm doing here?
Yes.
So, you know, there's 3 in there right now. I could probably fit 4 more in there. The problem with shipping right now is that we're so new at this process, and we really, we're trying to establish a base in the major countries so that the next time we release, the next part of this series, we'll have that infrastructure base, and we'll be able to offer cheaper shipping. So unfortunately for like our Brazilian backers, shipping is a little bit expensive. It really is. I will say this, that it's kind of easy to say, those are really small. I'm not getting as much value out of the pack as I would with a game like this. But I would disagree with that, because I've lived with these games long enough to know that you're actually getting, you could potentially get 10 games if we hit our stretch goals. And there's a tremendous value. It's well worth what you would pay in the shipping, because you're going to get that kind of value out of it.
Ok, então, agora eu vou perguntar para ele, estou perguntando, qual é a paixão dele pelos jogos de tabuleiro, aonde que começou e quais são os jogos que ele gosta de jogar e que ele está jogando e que ele joga sempre.
I like a lot of kind of medium weight games. I like, we call them Euro games or designer games, but it's kind of the medium weight where there's kind of interesting choices. There's lots of kind of options and ways to win, and paths to victory is what it's called. I don't play RPG kind of things, and I don't really do card games that have a lot of text on them. I did mention Magic the Gathering, and I don't play Magic very much anymore. But I'm not as interested in games that have a lot of text on them. I'm more into games that have more streamlined design, and so that's typically what I'll play. And I have a group on Wednesday nights that we play games with, and I test a lot of my games there as well. And we'll play a published game, and then we might play one of these and test and get some feedback, and then we'll play another published game. And so I kind of slip it in at times where it feels kind of natural, and where I can really gauge, people are playing a real game and then they play my game to test it and to see if they're enjoying it all the way through. And what do I like the most? Let's see. I mean, I like Pandemic, Finca's good, Black Friday. There's a ton of games behind me. As far as games that I really respect, I mean, I think Ticket to Ride is the type of game that I want to design, because it's basically 3 rules that you need to know. You can do one of 3 things on your turn. And the other thing that works really well is that the game board is a map of North America, or there's other boards too, but at least in the US and what we play, so that's one more thing that allows people to get their head around the game. They're not intimidated by the board. So in talking about that gateway style game that gets non-gamers to play, Ticket to Ride is I think one of the better games to do that. I have a memory of playing Pandemic. It was the first time that I played it with a group, and I introduced it to them, and I was new to it too. And we ended up playing like 5 or 6 times in a row trying to beat it. And it was like the 4th time that we were playing, and we flipped over a card and we lost, and one of the ladies tripped the table down and just everything just flew everywhere. It's like, all right, maybe we should call it a night, So I definitely have some of those moments where people are frustrated. What else can I think about? I've had games where we all sit down and we start trying to read through the rule book, and it makes no sense. It's a terribly written rule book, and we're like, you know what? Next game. And that sometimes happens, that rules are so bad that you can't even play it. I don't know. I've had a lot of good memories with games. It's a great way to spend time with people.
You can recall your first memory. How old are
gaming?
you?
Well, I have a lot of memories playing games with both grandmothers. I played a game called Aggravation, which is kind of like Parcheesi, if you've ever seen what that is. But you have 4 marbles or 4 pawns, and you try and get them all the way around the board and into your home base. I played that with my grandmother a lot, and my other grandmother was really into playing cards, and so she taught me lots of ways to play solitaire, canasta, beat the clock, all these different card games. She taught me. So I think honestly it was my grandmother's that influenced me the most in game design, because at a young age I didn't just want to play. I wanted to understand how you play it, and how do you set those rules? Who decides how you play this game, and what makes them make those decisions? And so I think I was somehow fascinated by game design at an early age. Well, again, thank you for having me on the show, and I appreciate that you guys are halfway across the world and see what it is that I'm doing and are interested by it. And I can tell you firsthand that these games are good, and you will play them. And any support that you guys can bring to the project at this point, the next time we bring more of these games, I'm really going to work to get that shipping down for you guys, because I know it's the most expensive on my chart, and I don't like that. And but we're just getting started, and so bear with us, get on board. You will not be sorry when you get these games, and you're going to get potentially, I'll stack them up here because there's this many at least, and another one, and I've got more coming. So they're pretty cool. They are really neat games. So I'm excited about the Kickstarter. It's the first project, and I appreciate that you guys have been so supportive. So thanks again.
Ok. Então, dizendo adeus aí ao Chris. Aguardem mais novidades, mais entrevista com outros designers no Odd. Bye.
Thanks.